The morning sun streamed through the grand windows of Buckingham Palace as Queen Elizabeth II prepared for what would become one of her most memorable public appearances. It was 2012, and the London Olympics had captured the world's attention. Little did anyone know that the 86-year-old monarch was about to surprise everyone with her incredible sense of humor and willingness to embrace the unexpected. The Queen had always been known for her duty and dedication, but behind the formal crown and ceremonial robes lived a woman with a mischievous sparkle in her eyes. Her staff had grown accustomed to her dry wit during private moments, but the public rarely witnessed this delightful side of her personality. That was all about to change during the Olympic Games opening ceremony. When film director Danny Boyle approached the palace with an unusual request, many expected an immediate refusal. He wanted the Queen to appear in a short film alongside the fictional secret agent James Bond, played by Daniel Craig. The idea seemed almost absurd, the dignified monarch acting alongside a movie character known for his dangerous adventures and charming ways with women. Palace officials initially hesitated, but when the proposal reached the Queen herself, something unexpected happened. Elizabeth's eyes lit up with genuine excitement. She had always enjoyed a good joke, and the thought of surprising her subjects and the world appealed to her sense of fun. Her family was initially concerned about the dignity of the crown, but the Queen had made up her mind. She would not only participate, but would do so with enthusiasm that would leave everyone speechless. The filming day arrived, and Daniel Craig himself was nervous about meeting the monarch. He had portrayed the suave spy countless times, but facing the real Queen of England was an entirely different challenge. When he was introduced to her, he expected formal pleasantries and a quick scripted interaction. Instead, the Queen greeted him with a warm smile and immediately put him at ease with her natural charm. What happened next became the stuff of legend. The Queen not only delivered her lines perfectly, but also suggested improvements to the scene. She asked thoughtful questions about the filming process and showed genuine interest in the technical aspects of movie making. Her curiosity and engagement surprised everyone on set, revealing a woman who remained intellectually vibrant and eager to learn new things well into her 80s. The most remarkable moment came when they filmed the scene where James Bond escorts the Queen through the palace corridors. Instead of walking sedately as expected, Elizabeth matched Craig's confident stride, appearing every bit as commanding as the fictional secret agent beside her. Her natural poise and understated performance made it clear that she was thoroughly enjoying herself. When the film premiered during the opening ceremony, the world watched in amazement as the Queen appeared to parachute into the Olympic Stadium alongside James Bond. The sight of her stepping out of a helicopter, with the help of a stunt double for the actual jump, brought cheers from the crowd and delighted laughter from viewers worldwide. Social media exploded with praise for the Queen's unexpected participation in such a playful moment. But the James Bond appearance was just one example of Elizabeth's ability to surprise people with her warmth and humor. Throughout her reign, she had countless interactions with ordinary citizens that revealed her genuine care for people and her ability to connect on a human level. During walkabouts, she would often stop to chat with children, asking about their schools and interests with sincere curiosity. One particularly touching moment occurred during a visit to a children's hospital. A young patient, unimpressed by royal protocol, boldly asked the Queen if she ever got tired of wearing fancy hats. Instead of being offended, Elizabeth burst into laughter and admitted that some of her hats were indeed quite heavy. She spent several minutes discussing fashion with the delighted child, treating the conversation with the same seriousness she would give to matters of state. Her interactions with her own family provided endless examples of her playful nature. During the 2016 Invictus Games, she appeared in a video with Prince Harry and former President Barack Obama. The clip showed her dropping the microphone after delivering a witty comeback, a gesture that perfectly captured her ability to embrace modern culture while maintaining her regal dignity. The video went viral, introducing a new generation to the Queen's unexpected coolness. Elizabeth's love for animals, particularly her beloved corgis, also showcased her softer side. She was often photographed walking her dogs on the grounds of her various residences, looking completely relaxed and happy. When one of her corgis once bit a clock repairman, the Queen personally wrote a letter of apology, demonstrating her consideration for others and her ability to handle awkward situations with grace and humor. Her quick wit was perhaps most evident during state visits and formal occasions. When hosting foreign dignitaries, she would often include subtle jokes in her speeches that delighted those who caught them while maintaining perfect diplomatic decorum. Her ability to be both formal and approachable made her an exceptional ambassador for Britain and endeared her to world leaders across the political spectrum. The Queen's sweetest moments often came during interactions with veterans and service members. She had lived through World War II as a young woman and served as a mechanic and truck driver in the Auxiliary Territorial Service. This shared experience created an immediate bond with military personnel. During visits to veteran gatherings, she would spend time listening to stories and sharing memories, treating each conversation as precious and important. Her 90th birthday celebrations provided numerous examples of her endearing personality. Instead of a stuffy, formal ceremony, she chose to celebrate with a picnic in Windsor Great Park, surrounded by family and friends. Photos from the event showed her laughing heartily at something Prince Philip had said, her face completely relaxed and joyful. These candid moments revealed the woman behind the crown, someone who valued simple pleasures and genuine connections with loved ones. Throughout decades of public service, Queen Elizabeth II had mastered the art of being simultaneously majestic and approachable. She understood that her role required dignity and formality, but she never forgot the importance of human connection and the power of laughter to bring people together. These qualities made her not just a respected monarch, but a beloved figure whose memory would be treasured long after her reign ended. The gardens of Balmoral Castle in Scotland held a special place in Queen Elizabeth II's heart. It was here, away from the formal protocols of London, that her personality truly blossomed. The Scottish Highlands brought out a different side of the monarch, one that was more relaxed, spontaneous, and delightfully unpredictable. Local residents had countless stories of encounters with their queen that revealed her down-to-earth nature and sharp sense of humor. During one memorable summer afternoon, Elizabeth was walking alone through the countryside near Balmoral when she encountered two American tourists who were clearly lost. The elderly couple approached her, not recognizing the casually dressed woman in her headscarf and comfortable walking clothes. They asked for directions to the castle and mentioned they were hoping to catch a glimpse of the Queen. With a perfectly straight face, Elizabeth pointed them toward the castle and casually mentioned that she lived nearby and sometimes saw the Queen around. She even offered to walk part of the way with them. As they strolled together, the tourists peppered her with questions about what the Queen was really like. Elizabeth, enjoying herself immensely, described the monarch as someone who was quite nice, but could be rather serious about her dogs. When the couple asked if she had ever actually met the Queen personally, she replied with twinkling eyes that yes, she had met her a few times and found her to be surprisingly funny when people weren't watching. The tourists thanked her profusely for her help and continued on their way, never realizing they had just spent 20 minutes chatting with the very person they hoped to see from a distance. This incident perfectly captured Elizabeth's ability to connect with ordinary people without the barriers that her royal status usually created. She genuinely enjoyed these moments of anonymity and often spoke fondly of them to her staff. Her security detail had learned to expect such impromptu interactions and had developed strategies to monitor her safety while allowing her the freedom to be herself. The Queen's relationship with technology provided endless entertainment for those around her. Despite being born in 1926, she embraced new developments with curiosity and enthusiasm that surprised many. When email was introduced to the palace in the late 1990s, she was among the first royals to master it. Her private secretary later revealed that she enjoyed sending messages to her grandchildren and was particularly amused by the ability to type in all capital letters, which she occasionally did when she wanted to emphasize a point. Her first video call was equally memorable. During the early days of the pandemic, when royal engagements moved online, technical difficulties led to several amusing moments that the public was fortunate enough to witness. During one virtual opening of a hospital unit, the Queen's microphone picked up her commenting to someone off-screen about whether she was supposed to look at the red light or the camera. Her genuine confusion and subsequent laughter when the situation was explained made headlines and endeared her to people who were struggling with their own technology challenges during lockdown. Perhaps the most famous of her tech-related moments came when she was introduced to an iPad. Photos captured her intense concentration as she learned to navigate the touchscreen, occasionally prodding it more firmly than necessary when it didn't respond as expected. When she successfully sent her first tweet in 2014 to open a new exhibition, she looked genuinely pleased with her accomplishment, as if she had just mastered a particularly challenging crossword puzzle. The Queen's interactions with children remained consistently heartwarming throughout her reign. Unlike many adults who spoke down to young people, she treated them as intelligent individuals worthy of serious conversation. During a visit to a primary school, she spent time in a classroom where students were learning about monarchy. One bold 7-year-old raised her hand and asked why the Queen needed so many houses. Instead of deflecting the question, Elizabeth sat down at one of the tiny classroom chairs and explained that her different homes served different purposes, much like how the child might have a bedroom for sleeping and a kitchen for eating. The comparison delighted the children and showed her remarkable ability to explain complex concepts in terms they could understand. Another unforgettable school visit involved a cooking class where children were preparing traditional British dishes. The Queen watched with genuine interest as they worked, offering encouragement and asking thoughtful questions about their techniques. When one nervous student accidentally dropped a tray of freshly baked scones, Elizabeth immediately stepped forward to help clean up, much to the horror of her security team and the delight of the children. She assured the upset child that everyone makes mistakes and suggested they bake another batch together, which they did, with the Queen wearing an apron and getting flour on her hands like any grandmother helping in the kitchen. Her love for horses provided countless opportunities for sweet interactions with fellow equestrians. At horse shows and racing events, she would spend time talking to riders and trainers, discussing bloodlines and training techniques with the expertise of someone who had devoted decades to understanding these magnificent animals. Young riders were particularly special to her, and she would often take time to offer encouragement and advice, treating them as equals in their shared passion rather than as subjects meeting their sovereign. One particularly touching story involved a teenage girl whose horse had been injured just before an important competition. The Queen, noticing the girl's distress, approached her and spent several minutes discussing the horse's condition and recovery prospects. She shared stories of her own experiences with injured horses and emphasized that the animal's well-being was always more important than any competition. Her compassion and practical advice provided comfort that no amount of formal sympathy could have achieved. The Queen's quick thinking in unusual situations demonstrated both her intelligence and her sense of humor. During a garden party at Buckingham Palace, a sudden downpour sent hundreds of guests scrambling for cover. Instead of retreating immediately to the palace, Elizabeth stood under a large umbrella and began directing the crowd toward covered areas, laughing as she called out suggestions for where people might find shelter. Her willingness to stay and help, rather than simply disappearing into the dry comfort of the palace, was noticed and appreciated by everyone present. Her adaptability extended to unexpected protocol breaches as well. When a small child at a public event broke free from his parents and ran directly toward her, security moved to intercede. The Queen, however, gestured for them to stop and knelt down to the child's level, engaging him in conversation about his toy dinosaur. The impromptu chat lasted several minutes and resulted in some of the most natural and joyful photographs ever taken of her during a public engagement. Food-related incidents provided some of her most endearing moments. During a state dinner, a serving error resulted in her receiving the wrong entree. Rather than causing a fuss, she quietly ate what was placed before her and later complimented the chef on the unexpected dish. When the error was discovered and apologies were profusely offered, she waved them away, noting that the variety had made the meal more interesting than usual. Her ability to find humor in difficult situations was perhaps most evident during challenging weather conditions. At an outdoor ceremony during a particularly windy day, her hat was blown off despite careful securing. Instead of being embarrassed, she laughed heartily and made a joke about the wind clearly having Republican sympathies. The crowd's delighted response to her quick wit transformed what could have been an awkward moment into a highlight of the event. These countless small moments, witnessed by thousands of people over the decades, painted a picture of a woman who understood that true nobility came not from titles or ceremonies, but from how one treated other people, especially in unguarded moments when royal protocol took second place to simple human kindness. The fifth moment that truly exemplified Queen Elizabeth II's remarkable character occurred during what would later be remembered as one of her most genuine and touching public appearances. It was at the 2012 Diamond Jubilee celebrations, but not during the grand ceremonies that filled television screens worldwide. Instead, it happened during a quiet moment at a care home in Windsor, where she had stopped for an unscheduled visit that would reveal the very essence of who she was beneath the crown. The afternoon had not gone according to plan. Heavy rain had forced the cancellation of an outdoor event, leaving an unexpected gap in her schedule. Rather than returning to the castle, the Queen asked her driver to stop at Meadowcroft Care Home, a facility she had visited before and where she felt particularly welcome. The staff was surprised but delighted to see her arrive unannounced, still wearing the cheerful yellow coat that had brightened the dreary day. In the main sitting room, residents were gathered for their afternoon tea and entertainment. Among them was 98-year-old Albert Morrison, a former palace gardener who had worked on the grounds decades earlier, but had never actually met the Queen during his years of service. His granddaughter had told the staff about his connection to the palace, hoping it might interest him during one of his increasingly rare lucid moments brought on by advancing dementia. When Elizabeth entered the room, most residents recognized her immediately, but Albert seemed confused by the sudden excitement. He had been particularly withdrawn lately, rarely speaking or showing interest in activities. The Queen, noticing his puzzled expression, approached his chair slowly and knelt down beside him. In her gentlest voice, she introduced herself simply as Elizabeth and asked if he had worked in gardens. Something in her kind manner seemed to reach through the fog of his condition. Albert's eyes brightened as he began talking about roses and the importance of proper pruning techniques. For the next 20 minutes, the Queen of England sat on the floor beside an elderly man's wheelchair, listening with complete attention as he shared fragmented memories of his gardening days. She asked thoughtful questions about different plant varieties and nodded encouragingly when his words became jumbled. Other residents and staff watched in amazement as this extraordinary scene unfolded. The Queen showed no concern for her expensive outfit or the protocol breach of sitting on the floor. Her focus remained entirely on Albert, treating his confused ramblings about fertilizers and seasonal planting as if they were the most important conversation she had ever had. When he suddenly looked directly at her and asked if she was somebody important, she simply smiled and said she was just someone who enjoyed hearing about gardens. The truly magical moment came when Albert, in a flash of clarity, suddenly recognized her. His face lit up with wonder as he whispered, "You're the Queen." Instead of confirming or denying it, Elizabeth leaned closer and asked conspiratorially, "What gave me away?" Albert laughed for the first time in weeks, pointing to her handbag and saying, "Only the Queen would carry a handbag indoors." Their shared laughter filled the room and brought tears to the eyes of everyone watching. As the visit continued, the Queen moved through the room, speaking individually with each resident. She complimented Mary Thompson on her knitted cardigan and spent time examining the intricate pattern. When 89-year-old Harold Jenkins mentioned that he had served in the Navy during World War II, she sat down beside him, and they discussed his service with the respect and interest his sacrifice deserved. Her ability to make each person feel valued and heard was remarkable to witness. The most touching moment came when she met Dorothy Williams, a 94-year-old former teacher who had severe arthritis that made movement painful. Dorothy apologized for not being able to stand to curtsy, clearly distressed by what she saw as a lack of proper respect. The Queen immediately sat down in the chair beside her and took her gnarled hands gently in her own, explaining that there was no need for formality between friends. She asked about Dorothy's teaching career and listened intently as the elderly woman shared stories about her students, many of whom were now grandparents themselves. When it was time to leave, Albert had dozed off in his chair, exhausted by the excitement but with a peaceful smile on his face. The Queen quietly asked the staff to give him her regards when he woke up and left behind a handwritten note thanking him for sharing his gardening wisdom. The care home kept that note as one of their most treasured possessions, a testament to an extraordinary moment of human connection. This unscheduled visit perfectly encapsulated what made Elizabeth so beloved. She possessed the rare ability to set aside the majesty of her position and connect with people on the most fundamental human level. Her genuine interest in others, her willingness to listen, and her instinctive kindness transformed what could have been a formal duty into moments of real meaning and joy. The Queen's final years were filled with similar examples of her enduring warmth and wit. During the pandemic, when she was confined to Windsor Castle, she found creative ways to maintain connections with her subjects. Her video calls to healthcare workers and essential service providers revealed her continued ability to offer comfort and encouragement during difficult times. Even in her 90s, she retained the sparkle in her eyes and the quick smile that had charmed people for decades. Her last major public appearance at her Platinum Jubilee showed a woman who, despite obvious physical frailty, remained mentally sharp and emotionally engaged with her people. When she appeared on the palace balcony and waved to the thousands gathered below, her expression showed genuine pleasure at their enthusiasm. The crowd's thunderous response to her brief appearance demonstrated the deep affection she had earned through 7 decades of consistent service and countless small acts of kindness. The legacy of these sweet and witty moments extends far beyond entertainment value. They revealed a fundamental truth about leadership and human dignity. Throughout her remarkable reign, Queen Elizabeth II demonstrated that true greatness lies not in grand gestures or ceremonial pomp, but in how we treat the vulnerable, how we respond to the unexpected, and how we choose to bring light and laughter into the lives of others. Her ability to find humor in difficult situations, to show genuine interest in ordinary people, and to maintain her humanity while carrying the weight of constitutional responsibility created a template for modern monarchy that balanced tradition with accessibility. She proved that it was possible to be both regal and relatable, formal and funny, dutiful and delightful. The countless individuals who met her during walkabouts, state visits, and casual encounters carried away memories that they treasured for the rest of their lives. Children who shared jokes with her grew up to tell their own children about the day they made the Queen laugh. Veterans who received her respectful attention felt valued and honored. Ordinary citizens who witnessed her kindness during difficult moments found comfort in knowing that their monarch truly cared about their well-being. These moments of sweetness and wit were not calculated public relations exercises, but authentic expressions of a remarkable woman's character. They revealed someone who understood that her greatest power lay not in ceremony or protocol, but in her ability to make others feel important, valued, and heard. In a world that often seems divided by differences, Queen Elizabeth II's legacy reminds us of the unifying power of kindness, humor, and genuine human connection. Her life taught us that true nobility is measured not by titles or wealth, but by how we choose to treat others, especially those who can do nothing for us in return. In her sweetest and wittiest moments, she showed us the very best of what it means to be human, leaving behind a legacy of laughter, compassion, and grace that will inspire generations to come.